Here's a preview of what you'll hear on this episode of Beyond the Wheel.
These batteries absolutely make the ownership experience and the user experience so much better for the consumer, not coming back to dead batteries after they've had it in storage for a few weeks or it's been drained. And then after that, they don't realize, man, just draining those lead acid batteries one time, now the performance is gone. And where I'm going with that is a lot of times somebody will say, hey, I've got something that's really going to make the experience so much better for the customer, and we have to re-engineer something to get the benefit. These are batteries. We don't have to re-engineer the area.
Now enjoy the show.
You are listening to Beyond the Wheel, a podcast about the people and ideas that drive the RV community forward.
This episode is brought to you by Battleborn Batteries, the best name in the RV and marine industry. These lithium batteries are designed and assembled in the USA, backed by a 10-year warranty. The best solution for your battery anxiety, so go check them out at battlebornbatteries.com.
Whether your adventure is on the road, on the water, or off the grid, Battleborn batteries keep you out there longer.
Hey everyone, Kenny here. Do you travel with pets and are looking for a way to monitor and be alerted of temperature spikes in your RV while away? I've been using a temp stick in our RV for over 3 years, and I love the simplicity of being able to connect to any of our hotspots, as well as not having the hassle of any subscription or service fees. If you are looking for a reliable way to protect your pets while away, check out TempStick at tempstick.com.
Hey everyone, we have a very special show for you today. Sean was live at the Tampa show and had an opportunity to sit down with Dragonfly Energy and Keystone RV to talk about their new partnership. You may be saying to yourself, who is Dragonfly Energy? Well, Dragonfly Energy is the OEM side of the Battleborn batteries. Typically, if you are a consumer, you buy a battery from Battleborn Batteries. But if you are a manufacturer, you are buying from the Dragonfly Energy side of the company. During this episode, you will hear how Keystone RV will now be shipped from the factory with Dragonfly Energy lithium batteries as an option. I believe this is a huge step forward for the RV industry, and you're about to hear why right now. So let's get this episode started.
We're here to discuss a partnership between Keystone and Dragonfly Energy. But before we get into the details, let's start off with a quick introduction of everyone and your roles at Dragonfly Energy and Keystone. So, Colin, why don't you go ahead?
Yes, I'm Colin Deckent, General Manager at Keystone RV, and I work specifically with the Montana division.
I'm Wade Seberg. I am Director of Business Development and Outside Sales for Dragonfly Energy.
I'm Sam Lingrich. I'm the product manager for the Montana and Montana High Country Group, concentrating mostly on product.
What is the partnership and what does it mean for RVers?
So the partnership, generally speaking, it's we as Keystone have partnered with Dragonfly to be the manufacturer that supplies lithium batteries factory direct to our dealer body, ultimately selling to the retail customer. So we went into contracts just within the last 4 weeks.
4 weeks, yeah.
4 weeks with a contract. And so we'll be here in the near future, be shipping units with lithium batteries directly to the dealerships that is an add-on option from the factory.
Okay. And I would just add that in addition to that, the batteries are going to be available to the aftermarket through the 1,200 Keystone dealerships. So if there's an existing Keystone owner who either has their rig in for some repairs or for just general maintenance, and they have lead acid batteries in there and they want to replace those, they can now get Dragonfly Energy batteries, which have never been available to the public. They can now get Dragonfly Energy batteries at those 1,200 dealerships, and that's exclusive to Keystone.
No matter what the year of their...
No matter what the year of their rig. And we have a great technical support team back in Reno that's prepared to handle all those calls from dealers, because we know that there's a giant learning curve that has to happen, and they'll be able to question, we've got this inverter charger in our unit, is that compatible with lithium batteries, specifically Dragonfly Energies? We have, this other equipment, this solar charge controller, all those different charge components that are going to be touching the batteries. We want to make sure that they're compatible so that that customer experience is at a high level, that they because we set the expectation pretty high with lithium, and we want to make sure that we meet that expectation for the consumer.
So the dealers, these 1,200 dealers, will be trained in lithium technology and what's different about these batteries as far as the Keystone brand goes on how to install them and everything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Keystone has a great program called Ignite, which is a dealer training program that we're in the process of recording a lot of content that will be available on demand for dealers to be able to be well schooled in lithium, to be able to answer those basic level questions. We're developing a lot of that content right now, so it's in the coming weeks it's going to be deliverable to the dealerships, but it may take a little bit of time to roll out. But the whole idea here is that if we can have an educated consumer and an educated dealer base, that they're going to embrace the technology a lot more. It will answer a lot of those unknowns and doubts and just questions, whether it's safety, performance, durability, whatever the question is, we want to be able to have those basic level questions answered.
Yeah, and Sean, you had asked the second part of that question to add to what we was saying. You had asked about what's that mean? You know, what's the lithium mean? And I think when you break it down, there's a lot of benefits to the lithium. But, you know, simply stated, if you could go to any consumer and say, you know, if you're looking at a truck purchase and you're saying, Mr. and Mrs. Consumer, from a truck's perspective, if we said for $10 more a month, you could get the best performing truck out there in the market, there's probably not an individual out there that would say, sign me up. And I think when you look at it, 100% of the RVs today get batteries. So by being able to provide them a battery that gives them maximum performance, like no other, for a really, really small investment, it's a no-brainer. So ultimately, this is where we wanted to go from a company's perspective as we initiated a big solar launch. But it was key for us to find the right company to make sure the quality and the maximum performance is there, and that's definitely Dragonfly. So that's why, you know, we wanted to vet out and make sure that we found what was going to be right for the consumer, and that's ultimately what we're doing here.
Okay.
And one of the things that I'm most excited about being from the product side is not always do you have somebody come to you with something they want to add to your product that makes the ownership experience that much better without having to completely re-engineer something. And these batteries absolutely make the ownership experience and the user experience so much better for the consumer, not coming back to dead batteries after they've had it in storage for a few weeks or it's been drained. And then after that, they don't realize, man, just draining those lead acid batteries one time, now the performance is gone. And where I'm going with that is a lot of times somebody will say, hey, I've got something that's really going to make the experience so much better for the customer, and we have to re-engineer something to get the benefit. These are batteries. We don't have to re-engineer the area. Now, with their help, we've learned ourselves how to install them in the best fashion, best wiring, but these batteries replace the lead-acid batteries, the location. With what they've done with us, with offering us a product that's heated, we don't have to worry about the location that we put them at. It's just exciting for me because I'm really trying to watch social networks, listen to customers, and if customers understand and take advantage of this opportunity, their user experience is going to be so much better. So much.
Yeah, well, I think that it's worthwhile to talk a little bit about how we got to this point, right? I mean, Sam and I have been working with our batteries for the last, 2.5 years, roughly?
Absolutely.
Through the Super Solar Flex program that Montana released, right, which includes 2 of our GC3 heated batteries. And so you get 540 amp hours in there, and we've sold a fair number of those to the retail public, and you know, we don't have issues with that product. I mean, that product really performs to the expectation of the consumer. And now we have some customers that are like, hey, you know, I want to be out there for 2 weeks at a time without having to recharge or you know, tether to a pole, and so they're adding a couple more batteries. And through this partnership now, those additions can happen at the factory. Okay. And so they don't have to order them, you know, from us and install them themselves. They can order it from the factory that way, or tell their dealer at the time that they order, hey, I've got this Montana Super Solar here that has 2 batteries. Okay, yeah, I like that, but could you throw 2 more on there? And then out the door they go. And I think that history that we've had to provide that base level of expectation helped us get to this point to where they're comfortable enough. Keystone's comfortable enough. Their consumer base is ready for it. So I thought that was, that's been a good 2.5 years of kind of experience.
And it did. The 2.5 years has just kind of been pivotal in the timing of how it all came together, because in conversation with retail customers now, how RVs are being used are completely different. So whether it be kind of like we talk about the normal work off-grid, well, that's a variable term now. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you're very extreme off-grid, you're not plugged in, or you're overnighting at a Harvest Host in a parking lot, those types of things, Walmart parking lot. So your energy needs are different. So the ability to be able to have lithium technology in there to accommodate the varying needs of energy usage out there today, which is more prevalent post-pandemic than it's ever been before, is perfect timing for this endeavor.
But you guys were working on this pre-pandemic, it sounds like.
Yeah, let me give a little bit of history on that just for you, Sean. So we decided we wanted to really do a boondock coach, Montana being the leader in the industry. And so we just kind of started asking questions, started seeing who wanted to partner with us. One thing that's unique at Keystone, and yes, I'm going to brag about, is we don't necessarily go to let's say a supplier/vendor and say, you completely engineer it, everything. All we want to do is install it. And we knew the technology that was needed in this product. So we had the Super Solar was originally the idea. Now we call it the SF1200i. And we miraculously, and to our benefit, got to start working with Battleborn and Dragonfly. And so we engineered this product. But what Keystone has that most manufacturers don't is we have an innovation lab that has engineers in that lab. So they work in conjunction with Battleborn and Dragonfly. We didn't put it all on them, and that's the big difference. So we spent a lot of testing, a lot of developing, and we came up with this 1200 product as we know it, or Super Solar, and it's been amazing. It's funny, Wade kind of alluded to it. The G3 battery is kind of like Lay's potato chips. Our customers, they ate a couple, they wanted more. Yeah. And that was our biggest challenge was we had no idea that people were willing to step up financially and say, we love 2 of these, where can we get more? And that caused some challenges for us. But it's just the relationship and the knowledge that Dragonfly has to work in conjunction with engineers in our innovation lab. I mean, it almost gives me goosebumps when we think where we came from. But what that also offered us as a company was we didn't just go across the board. We put our feet in the water, our toes, with the Montana and found out what worked. And then that's evolved into this huge Solar Flex program that Keystone's taken off with.
And now that's, is it all Keystone models that people can get these batteries?
Yeah, so basically it's going to be all models and it's going to be optional. So I want to clear, that's not going to be the GC3 battery, but that's going to be the standard 100 amp hour battery.
Yeah, and it's going to be 2 of them, right? So there's no, one is nice, but 2's always better, right? Mm-hmm. But honestly, if you're, most of the, I think the SF400. So I think it'd be good if Colin or Sam walked through the Solar Flex levels because at some level they get to where there's a 2,000 watt inverter, right? And when you get to a point where you have a 2,000 watt inverter, you really need 200 amp hours of power so that you're not starving that inverter of energy. And so I think it'd be probably helpful if you guys walk through that Solar Flex.
Sure. Yeah. So what Wade's talking about is we as Keystone developed a Solar Flex program for all of our products. So every Keystone product that we build today comes with, at minimum, a 200 watt solar panel on the roof and a 15 amp MPT charge controller standard. Then we've now offered optional upgrades for the dealers. The next step is the Solar Flex 400 with a 30 amp charge controller, a battery shunt, and 400 watts of solar panels on the roof, an additional 2,000 watt inverter. And then we vetted out each individual brand on what outlets we were going to invert inside the coach. So your residential refrigerator, your microwave, your TV, those types of items, depending on the brand, specifically are linked to that inverter that allows you to utilize battery power to run those things. Our consumers are saying, hey, We absolutely want to wake up in the morning and make that cup of coffee and not have to go outside and start our generator to do so. So it really aids to the usage and what our customers are asking for. On the next step, we go to a SolarFlex 600 IL, and that gets you 600 watts of panels on the roof, and then it gets you the inverter, and it gets you the lithium batteries.
Yeah,
that
one GC3. So
that's
you get
270
exactly
amp hours.
270 amp hours of power. Yep.
And then Sam alluded to it earlier. We had what was on the Montana called the Super Solar. Now we call it the SolarFlex 1200 IL, and that's only still available on Montana. Okay. It's exclusive to our product. So, but the beauty of the product is much like what we did with the batteries. We vetted out the systems such that they could be flexible. So the consumer can say, coming back to my point earlier of what your energy needs are. So if a consumer's saying, hey, I have 200 watts of panel on the roof, but I could use a little bit more because of how I'm going to use this RV, it's called flex for a reason. So you can flex the system up based off of what you need out of your coach. So if you have a SolarFlex 400i and you want to go and put lithium batteries on it, maybe put an additional panel, you can. Additionally, the big caveat here is the fact that when an authorized Keystone dealer does that, those add-on parts take on the warranty of your coach. Okay. So they're aftermarket, so to speak, parts, but they're coming from Keystone. Those parts now are encompassed in the warranty of your coach. So it's a warrantable upgrade from the factory, which is absolutely huge and pertinent. Huge. Yeah, pertinent to the consumer who's wanting to flex their unit based off of their usage. So dealers love that endeavor. It allows them to basically customize the coach to the energy needs of the consumer.
A couple things that I would jump on with those comments that kind of spurred some thought was solar is awesome that the industry has adopted it as much as they have, but the key to a successful solar array is having that buffer in there, right? And that buffer is the battery. So if you leave your coach for the whole day because you're going out on a hike and it's a beautiful day and all your systems are off and everything, and you've got the sunlight coming in through the roof and powering your batteries and storing that power, it's only how good of a reservoir that you have for that power to go into as to how you're going to be able to deploy it when you are ready. And so by having the option for their customers to be able to select lithium batteries and put that in there, that's a real shift in the manufacturing process and the dynamic that's gone on in the RV industry forever. And to build on that, like what lithium is able to do for you now when you want to start that pot of coffee and you don't want to hear the roar of the generator, or just even if you just want to enjoy nature because that's where you're boondocking, and even if you want to turn the lights on, sometimes you have to have the generator on. Now when you come back and you return home after that trip, you don't have in the back of your mind that roar of the generator, just pounding over you. And with, the appliances that have come a long way, whether it's 12-volt fridges or residential reefers, they've really improved in their efficiencies. And so a lithium battery can really push those appliances a lot longer and power them a lot longer than what they were before.
Just real quick, so we've talked about a lot of stuff technical, right? But how does that end up with the customer? So I'm at the Montana Owners Rally on the West Coast. We're in Idaho. It's 110 degrees, hotter than it's ever been in Idaho. And these people are like, what are we doing? So we're having the Montana Owners Rally, and in their first meeting, they start talking about solar. I mean, this is the hot track right now, solar, lithium batteries. Just happens to be we have a set of customers, best friends. They both order the exact same model, both with Super Solar or the SF 1200. And so it's expensive. And so the group just kind of looks at them and it's like, so what's so great about it? Why do you like it? So it was almost like watching a group of dogs when you clamor the bell and their ears go up, because the guy said, here, I'm going to express it to you in one way. We're here in Idaho. It's 110 degrees. An hour and a half out from being at the campsite, I pull over, go to my phone. In conjunction with our in-command system, I start my air conditioners. I then pull in, park my unit, and guess what my wife gets into? She gets into a fully cool unit versus waiting for it to cool down for 2.5 hours as I'm setting up. He said, I would do it over 1,000,000 times. And it just like everybody's eyes just lit up. That ultimately was the story. The customer's experience now is just where it's never been.
So Wade, I think we're missing a key part of this conversation, and that is, what is the benefit of Dragonfly lithium batteries?
Yeah, we haven't touched on that. So we're a young company, right? We're in the grand scheme of things, even in relation to Keystone's a young company, but we've only been out for about 7 years. What's different about Dragonfly is that our batteries are fully designed, built, and assembled in the United States, right? We're out of Reno. At this point, we've got about 150 associates that are doing nothing all day but making that customer experience better, building batteries and producing them. And then we're a technology company first, right? And that's what, the Dragonfly Energy, everybody knows us by Battleborn Batteries because that's been our consumer-facing and direct-to-consumer brand for since we've started, because we realized early on that, we're not going to be able to convince OEMs right away 7 years ago that they need to put these really expensive batteries onto their rigs and sell them to the general public. That we're not going to be successful that way. We have to go out and tell the story ourselves to the consumers, and we did that through Battleborn, and then being able to pull OEMs forward, and especially the ones that see the light and early on, like Keystone, who are like, yeah, we see this, our consumers are asking for this now, and we need to partner with the right parties. But now we're transitioning to Dragonfly Energy and getting the name of the company out there a little bit more. We are working diligently on levelizing the cost of renewables. And we want to, and we will get to the point where renewables with the buffer of lithium batteries in the middle will be able to power stationary products, right? And what we're proving in the mobile arena through RVs and boats and that environment, we're going to be able to push into the stationary markets.
He's being modest, and I'll tell you this. Our engineering lab is brutal on our suppliers. They want to make sure that they're doing all their due diligence for our products. They're the best, period. They have the best casings. They have the best power output. They are the best. And so we did that by testing and checking and doing our research. So what he's failing to tell you is we partnered with them because we know, as Sam was saying, it's going to be the ultimate best user experience out there for our consumer. Then we took it one step further and we said, okay, afterlife program with the batteries, what do we do? Yeah. They set up a program with us to say, look, when the afterlife of that battery is done, we're going to set up a program where the consumer can just reach out to us. We'll send them a label. They send the batteries back to us and we recycle them. That is a huge benefit to the consumer. The industry-leading best warranty on these batteries, second to none. It's the best warranty, so if there's ever an issue or a problem. So it's not even just the performance, it's the overall consumer experience from start to finish when you own the battery. So that in itself has been huge for us. So when you look at comparatively, there's no other lithium battery companies out there on the marketplace that could match that start to finish user experience.
Okay. And I can testify to that because I called Wade, one of a dealer I have a relationship, got in a unit, one of our competitors with a Brand X lithium package, and the lithium battery was bad. So the dealer called the actual manufacturer of the RV and said, we need a new battery. Okay, we'll ship you one. What do you want done with this old lithium battery? We don't want it back. We don't know what to do with it. So they started calling around recycle places, called the local, car store. Do you guys take lithium batteries in for recycle? No, we won't touch it. Called the actual company that made the battery that I believe is imported, and they're like, we don't know what to do with them. I call Wade, and Wade's like, what are you talking about? I mean, if you guys had any bad Dragonfly battery, anybody out there, we'd take it back. And that's kind of what really spurred actually publicly saying we will take them back. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is what spurred that conversation, and to kind of check that box, right? And you can do that when you're an American company and American manufacturer, right? I mean, we have that capability. The other thing is that if any customer of ours, whether it's somebody that gets their batteries put on by Keystone and takes delivery of a unit with batteries already on it, or somebody that decides, hey, after the fact, I want to change out my lead acid for Dragonfly Energy batteries. if anybody has ever had the experience of calling into Dragonfly Energy, it's a delightful experience.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like you're not put in a queue and last to be put on hold with, and there's no language barriers that you have to overcome or anything like that. It's a very delightful experience. We'll even FaceTime with people in order to understand their system or go to whatever level we need to in order to get the right information to determine, okay, is lithium an appropriate install for the products that you have on your coach today? Or, here's what's going on. Here's some settings that you might need to change on your inverter charger. Whatever the question is, it really is a delightful experience. I mean, we're not throwing you to the wolves, right?
And I think there is a dedicated number for Keystone owners to call if they have issues with
absolutely,
this
and it's right on the label. And that was one of the other parts of this that we needed to really iron out. Okay, are we going to train the 100 or so customer service folks that Keystone has and school all of them up on lithium to be able to be that first level of defense? And we are going to do that, but we realize that takes time. So we said, why don't we take on the warranty right out of the gate, right? So any questions that come in, they get deferred to us. There's a phone number and an email address that's specific to the Keystone battery and a unique part number as well that we created for it. It's all right there on the label. They can contact us anytime.
And I think, Sam, you said something about the in-command system on the Keystones. All this technology, they're going to be able to operate it through that in-command system?
Well, the big thing is on the in-command system was we actually allow people to maneuver certain parts, like start water heaters. They can do anything that what we call the World Global Connect through in-command, which is actually a product by ASA. They can do anything with their phone. Actually, it also works in conjunction with the dash command from a GMC or Chevy vehicle. Anything that doesn't move. Now, once they stop and unhook the actual 7-way connection, it realizes they've stopped, and they can do their awnings and things like that. But the big point I want to make is they couldn't do any of that if they didn't have a good battery source.
Okay.
And that's the big thing. And not only that, but just the health of all of it. Just in electronics in general, by having a lithium battery on your unit and it not going dead, from TVs to the boards and the water heaters to the boards and the refrigerators, again, going back to my original statement, the ownership experience is just going to be so much better. It's going to be better for us because warranty. There'll be less warranty on items.
Exactly.
And
it'll be better for dealers too, because one of the biggest nuisance that a dealer faces is a low voltage condition. Absolutely. I mean, that is a top 5 dealer call that they get is, hey, we've got low voltage conditions. And I mean, so much of this, we want to claim as an industry that we're about sustainability, that we're about, conservation of all of the green spaces that we have out there. But yet, this is one of those last items that's sitting out there. It's like, okay, we're putting lead and acid and more lead and acid out there into the environment. Like, that's not a good thing, right? Every part of our lithium iron phosphate battery is 100% biodegradable, right? I mean, you could landfill our battery and it would be fine, right? We're going to recycle it because there's reclaimable components in there that we can put back to use. But this is definitely a greener solution for the consumer to be able to adopt.
Yeah, and I think first part of that, Wade, is you're right. There's the green aspect's important, but that user experience, there's 12-volt sensitive items on your coach that inherently needs a full charged battery, whether it be level up, some of your slide systems. Sam mentioned the in-command. So having a fully charged battery between the solar and having lithium, it's going to maximize the performance, second to none out there.
So as a product manager, Colin, when are we going to see lithium standard? What's holding that back right now?
Well, I think we're going and making the first initial step.
Definitely.
And I think, as we continue to get the performance and the reviews back on that, I see it within the next couple of years, I see that that's probably going to be a standard run item. But it's new. So it's new to the dealers. It's one of those things that they have to discover and truly understand what we're talking about here is going to be coming and witnessed on the dealership's lots. So I would say inside of a couple of years, you're going to see that happen. But please understand when we talk about the vetting process that Keystone went through, I was going to touch on it a little earlier, it's more than just installing those batteries. It's making sure that the lock mechanisms for securements is okay, the wiring harnesses are proper, everything's there. So we've done that homework for the dealer, so that intimidation factor of, are these batteries going to walk off? All those types of things have been vetted out. As they become more comfortable with it, I think you're going to see more and more dealers not only say, yeah, give me a pallet of batteries so I can do some of this with some of my other products, but hey, every Keystone product, just make that a standard run option for us.
And I think that we're, from a business level, we're in a crawl, walk, run phase, right? The crawl was, with the Super Solar program, we're in that walk phase right now where we're being able to option in the product, and then we'll start running it at some point here in the near future. But there's a lot that you have to do. I mean, you guys can speak more to this. There's a lot you have to do on the manufacturing side. When you're a manufacturer, especially a level manufacturer that Keystone is, you got to do a lot of stuff to make a product manufacturable, especially when you're shipping that product into two different countries, right? There's a lot of codes and listings that you have to make sure our I's are dotted and T's are crossed. Like, in order to include a product as a standard, it has to be standard, right? It has to be able to clear all of those standards. It has to be able to clear all those codes and listings. And we're achieving that because lithium's not only new to the retail public still, it's also new to inspectors. It's also new to manufacturers. They've never shipped units with batteries before. So there's a lot of steps that you have to make sure are checked off before you're able to just say, boom, we're going to go out of the gate with.
Yeah, and it's been a 2.5 year road to get to this point, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, people can't expect it to be overnight.
Right.
There is a lot that goes into it, and I think that's the point that I'm trying to make here, is that we're working towards it.
Yes.
Yeah. And Keystone's leading that, is what I would say. I mean, we're talking to the group right now that is, they are pushing the industry forward.
And Sam does a great job. We have a Montana Owners Rally that happens at the end of the summer. This year we had 164 rigs in. And so Sam sits down, we have a host lunch that we do, and we interview our customers on what they'd like to see on our products, what changes they would like to have. And we spent, 3.5 hours with them. And one of the questions Sam asked, which I thought was really, really good, he said, lithium. Who of you in the room have lithium on your coach? And only a few hands went up. And then we said, I think you asked the question, who is considering lithium here in the near future, within the next couple of years? 3/4 of the room raised their hand. And then you had this small group, which I thought was really interesting. You said, who is not considering lithium because you don't understand the benefits of? The rest of the room raised their hands. So it was really powerful to see these veteran RVers, because these are people that have owned 4 or 5 RVs in their lifetime. Pretty much a general consensus of the entire room had some type of interest in lithium, or they just simply don't know. Yeah. So we understood that the education side is key and important. So we're working directly with Dragonfly, with our marketing department, not only vetting out the engineering side, but then going into our marketing side and go, how do we tell this great story of the benefit for the consumer? And they're going to get that information coming to them monthly now from Keystone, so they can see truly what the benefits are and the value of it.
That is one of the things, though, when we talk about it, it sounds so easy to start it, right? Put 2 batteries where there were 2 lead-acid batteries. It reminds me of when flat-screen TVs came into the RV industry. All of a sudden, unfortunately, in today's world, people figured out I can break into the neighbor's RV and I can I can steal a 40-inch flat-screen TV and run across the yard with it because it weighs. Well, guess what? That's part of the challenge with lithium, is we can't have them walking off. So when we ship an RV, it's sitting in a shipping yard with well over $2,000 in lithium batteries. And one of the sales features is they don't weigh very much. We've had to work on securement, not only for ourselves, for the dealers and the shipping part of it. So all of a sudden we don't have lithium batteries just being scavenged out of RVs when they find out that, hey, Keystone puts them in standard. Let's just rob Keystone RV. So it's been a little bit of a challenge. We've had to do it right.
Yeah, we've came down, Sean, we're going to send a guard dog with every single RV. So it's like the junkyard dog. That's what we're sending with every single RV. We don't know if it's going to work or not. Yeah.
Well, I have 4 lithium batteries in my RV, and I worry about the same thing.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah.
You really you don't want those walking away, because that's a big investment.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll get you a dog.
Yeah,
so
there
we'll
you go.
send you a dog.
Colin mentioned, have the last grouping of people that said, "Yeah, I'm interested, but I just don't know enough about it." Right? I mean, that just something basic like the voltage and how you read a voltage reading on whatever monitor that you have, and that correlates in the consumer's head to a certain level of power that they have left. And it's different with lithium compared to lead acid, right? So that number correlates to a different percentage state of charge that you have left when you're dealing with lithium. So it's the little basics like that we have to retrain the consumer's brain before they're going to be ready to really embrace the technology and be able to run with it and maximize the effectiveness.
So when are we going to start seeing these roll out?
Inside of the next 60 days, you're going to see we're already shipping some batteries directly to the dealer body. Sam's got his proto set up with testing on all that. So inside of the next 60 days, you're going to be seeing units going out the door. Quite honestly, by the end of show season, you'll see units in displays with lithium batteries that came directly from the factory on them. So very, very soon.
And I think specifically like on our price point, the Montana brand, we will probably need to keep it always optional. Because in talking to people now, I go on and put some surveys on some of our social groups. Some of these people have invested. So they don't want to just go buy their next Montana and say, I've already got 6 lithium. I don't need 2 more. Don't make them standard. So there'll be some challenges there on people, but I think it will be optional. But you'll see some point that it could be standard in like some of the entry-level trailers, because those people at a higher percentage wouldn't even have lithium.
And will the same 10-year warranty that Dragonfly has apply to this as well?
Yeah, the same consumer warranty that is available through Battleborn, that was part of this agreement as well, was that we didn't want to deviate from that. We wanted those consumers to experience that same level of warranty. And so, for the first year, that warranty stays with Keystone, and then after that 1-year warranty with the Keystone coach, then the remaining 9 fall under Dragonfly Energy.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that will even change. I've already spoken to some dealers. That'll even change the delivery process for dealers. Normally, somebody comes in and buys a new RV. They're going to get 2 new, fresh lead-acid batteries. Now they're going to pull in with their passport that has 2, Dragonfly batteries, and they're going to say, okay, you just bought your first fifth wheel. It's a Montana. We're going to put, no. You're going to move my 2 lithium batteries over. So dealers are getting ready for that change in their just delivery process of new RVs.
Because once the consumer gets the lithium, they're not going to go back. They're not going back. Yeah,
they're not going to go back. And we've already had, to Colin, your question of timeline of when this is going to roll out, we've already had dealers who have said, yeah, send me a skid. And they're taking delivery of batteries this week. So there are dealers that are kind of early adopters, or that see the path, and they're headed down it. And then all the product lines at Keystone, I'm missing a weekly product development meeting for this podcast, but we attend a weekly product development meeting that they invite some of the key vendors into, that we go through the scheduled prototypes, and we go through any questions that there's representatives from all the different disciplines of the company that are there, in order to make sure that it's a successful launch and adoption.
Yeah, and in that meeting, I think it's pertinent to kind of get a little behind the curtain there. Yeah. We have engineering in there, we have customer service in there, we have warranty in there, we have the vendor in there, our engineers in there, and marketing and sales. Oh, wow. So it's all encompassing, so we can vet out any questions, concerns that we could potentially see from any of those departments, to ultimately try to check as many boxes as we can for the dealer and the consumer as possible.
And it's like anything. I mean, communication is the key to success in anything that we're venturing into, especially something that's new. And so when everybody's in that room, then those representatives from those different departments take those back to their teams, and they're like, okay, this was addressed, and it's really that's the environment that Keystone's created, right? In order to be successful, there's many different ways to go about it, but that's a very successful track for the manufacturing process.
And then I have one other question. Since these are being rolled in kind of at the factory as part of the product, whether they install them at the factory or they option it at the dealerships. This can be financed then. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
I know one of the holdbacks from people adopting it is having to pay that money up front.
Out-of-pocket costs. So
Yeah.
you nailed it. And that's kind of what my statement was earlier, talking about the truck and the performance. So you're absolutely right. When it becomes a factory option, at that point, it's just a normal part of the buying process. So the what's difficult about lithium today is the upfront cost of out-of-pocket of saying, the initial investment. Here, I just bought this RV. I have all these parts and accessories I need. Now, yeah, I'd love to have lithium, but maybe that's 2 years down the road because we just made this major investment for us as a family. Now you're saying it's all part of there. So if it changes your investment of a couple bucks a month, it's a no-brainer at that point.
Right. And we've been fighting that sticker shock, right, of lithium batteries ever since we started. And the key education piece that we have to get out there to the public is, and I mentioned it briefly, and I said levelized cost, but you really have to look at the cost of ownership of your energy system when you're evaluating lithium batteries. And when you look at the cost of ownership spread over, even if you just look at the 10-year warranty, because even after 10 years, the batteries are still good, right? They're good for 3,000 to 5,000 charge cycles. And even after that 3,000 charge cycles, you're going to still have about 80% of the battery still left there that you can still be able to use. But when you look at over a cost of ownership, 2 100 amp hour lithium batteries is the least expensive way to go when you evaluate that cost.
Yeah, I'm a nerd.
Yeah.
I've done the math. I've done the math. It is cheaper.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is much cheaper,
Yeah.
but you just got to get over that upfront cost. And I like one thing that Sean Nichols told me a few years ago was he said, pull out your cell phone. You're paying $1,300 for this cell phone, and you're switching it out every 3 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But with the cell phone, now people are rolling it into their plans, right? So being able to roll it in just makes people think a little differently about that cost.
Sure.
Yeah. So I completely agree. It's a much cheaper way of supplying energy to your coach.
Yeah, it is. And so you're right. By being able to finance it, you provide that vehicle to kind of take that sticker shock out of the equation now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so will all the 1,200 dealers, they'll be able to call up and get batteries and be able to install them right there on the lot.
Yeah, that's exclusive to Keystone. And their 1,200 and their dealer body, right? So if that number's 1,200, then that's what it is.
Yeah, and what Wade was saying, those dealers that are already ordering pallets, those are the dealers that are already had bought in on lithium. But what they're doing is they're seeing the quality and the program, and it's a no-brainer. They're saying, normally I'm buying the pallets from XYZ company. I'm going this direction immediately. So we're going to see more of those dealers adopt and get the batteries on the shelves. The guys that are on it right now have already been doing lithium. They're just doing better lithium now because we're offering it with our horsepower as, the RV manufacturer coming into it. We're giving them more value than they've ever seen before, and that's why it's a slam dunk for them to put them on the shelves.
And I would have to say this is probably the first component we'll ever be able to put on an RV that has a 10-year warranty. I mean, and I'm just not joking about that. I mean, when you think about the word financing and being in the buying process, the thing you're paying for, they're backing with a 10-year warranty. I mean, and that goes back to where I talked about moving them from RV to RV to RV. It's just, and that's the other thing, as Colin's saying, is they're like, why do I not want that in my parts department versus brand X that was a 2-year warranty? I want Dragonfly batteries because of the customer experience.
And the other thing, because I know there probably are some of those 1,200 dealers that are going to listen to this podcast that we want to make sure that they're aware of. They get all of that support, right? So when they become a stocking Dragonfly Energy dealer, they're going to get a point of sale that comes with the product that they can display, prominently in their parts department, so that will help pull that value through, and they'll get us on the other end of the phone to be able to talk through any systems. So we want to make sure that dealers are aware that we're really here to support them, and that this program was designed with their success in mind.
For sure.
Yep.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I'm as a consumer and as an RV geek kind of person myself, I'm really excited about this because I think it is leading the way towards that better living in an RV when you're out there, and you don't have to worry about, like you guys always say, Wade, battery anxiety. You know, you don't, that's something off your plate, and you don't have to worry about having gas in your generator because you have this power right here. It's quiet, it's eco-friendly. It's just, I think you guys are leading the way, and as a consumer, I really appreciate that.
Yeah, in conjunction with the solar program where we launched, you're always going to be able to fill those up. Yeah. So it's renewable every day.
We experienced it firsthand recently. We did a Wounded Warrior in Action camp Hackett up in Wisconsin, where they were being powered. It was completely off grid, right? It was being powered by a generator. To turn on a light, they had to run the roar of the generator, and they use it as a healing center for Purple Heart veterans. And we took that camp completely off grid. Right, we put solar panels up. We put 4 GC3 heated batteries in there with a couple of inverters. And now, when they go up there to experience the preserve that it is, right, in the North Woods of Wisconsin, on world-class hunting and fishing trips, they're able to truly enjoy nature. Right, I mean, they don't have the roar of the generator anymore. I mean, this was, in the background at a campfire, there was just this roar, and now it's very peaceful and tranquil. So
I think one thing I want to do is, as a product manager, is thank people like yourself that do podcasts like this and information, because that's probably the one thing that we're most challenged right now, is because, again, there's all kinds of manufacturers out there in the RV industry, and it comes down to education. We, in the past year, have seen manufacturers throw a 95-watt solar panel on the roof of a unit and call it their boondock package. I mean, and because of experience, we're all laughing in here, but that's the unfortunate part. And then we have a consumer, it's like, hey, that wouldn't even run my refrigerator, but I was told it would. And then they're disgusted with it. And then we lose their enthusiasm of the lifestyle of camping and enjoying their kids on the weekend without electronics. And it's like, this is not doing anything the guy told me it would do. So podcasts like this and information and really getting the truth out there about, Wade has always said the panels on the roof will put the gas in the tank, but if there's no tank, there's no gas, and those batteries are the tank that's going to hold the gas. So I want to thank you for this opportunity to not only have this conversation, but we've got to keep the education going. We really do.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Well, I thank you guys for your time. And then before we go, I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Anything you want to add?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, thanks, guys, and really appreciate it.
I found this episode to be fascinating and really enjoyed hearing all about the benefits of Keystone RV going lithium with the help from Dragonfly Energy. Hopefully, an episode like this helps in the understanding of lithium and how beneficial it is for RVers and the environment. Take care, everyone, and we wish you all safe travels.
This episode is brought to you by Battleborn Batteries, the best name in the RV and marine industry. These lithium batteries are designed and assembled in the USA, backed by a 10-year warranty. The best solution for your battery anxiety. So go check them out at battlebornbatteries.com.
Hey everyone, Kenny here. Do you travel with pets and are looking for a way to monitor and be alerted of temperature spikes in your RV while away? I've been using a temp stick in our RV for over 3 years, and I love the simplicity of being able to connect to any of our hotspots, as well as not having the hassle of any subscription or service fees. If you are looking for a reliable way to protect your pets while away, check out TempStick at tempstick.com.